Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Hi, folks. I hope all of you are doing well. Today, I'm so excited because I get to speak with Dolly Safran again. And if you haven't heard of her or saw the last interview, please be sure to visit Ethereal Encounters Unveiled on YouTube, and you'll be able to, I'll put the link in the description as well. So I'm going to bring Dolly on board, but it looks like my Facebook, nope. Okay. Everything looks good. Okay. So let me bring Dolly on board. And today, hi, Dolly.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. So good to see you and talk to you again.
You too.
I always enjoy our conversations, and I know that folks do as well. I just wanted to reiterate for people that have not heard about you or read the book Symmetry, which I'm going to show a screenshot of in a little bit. Just give us a little bit of your background. Tell folks who you are and all the good beefy stuff, and then we'll get into the questions. Okay, so I'm going to let you take the stage and tell everybody about your experiences with ETs and how you are a generational contactee.
Yes, I am a generational contactee. It's through my father's side, mostly a little bit on my mother's. I was born wide open psychic. By the time I was 2 years old, everybody knew how extreme it was. I had my first contact at 10 months old. I was in the afternoon taking a nap, and through the level doors in my room, I saw a big bright light midday, and I started levitating out of my crib. By the time I got to the top of it, I tried to flip back over and pull myself back down. And that's the last memory I have, but that's the very first time I remember anything going weird on me. By the time I was 5, I had my first really conscious full-on encounter. I was outside laying in the grass in front of our house in Miami, and I saw this umbrella coming down, and it was playing music. We had just gone like a week before to see Mary Poppins, and I thought, oh, there's Mary Poppins' umbrella. And I looked for the hook, and the parrot on the end of it, but there was none. And I was trying to figure out why it wasn't doing that. And the next thing I know, I'm on board this craft, and I'm with this lady, and I'm practically sitting in her lap, and I'm staring at her, and I'm thinking, you're different. And she was smiling at me, and which put me back a little bit. She only had a grin. She didn't show her teeth to me ever at first. And she said, you can call me Mama, and I'm going to be with you always when you're on board with us. And we have a long, happy life in front of us together. And I thought, wow, I came back from that encounter instead of being outside, they put me back inside the house, which freaked my mother out because I was not where she would have been able to see me come in. And she didn't get that view of me. And she was like, how did you get in here? These episodes went on and on and on and on most of my life until I was about 14. And I decided, because my mother was always trying to flip me away from talking about any of this. Every time I brought it up, she'd say, no, you're dreaming, blah, 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 blah. And she alluded to the fact that I might be seeing things. And I decided when I was 14, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to either figure this out, or I'm crazy and I need help. So the next time something came upon me, I was going to memorize everything and refuse to let go of the memory. They did show up. I did go on board, and it freaked me out. I knew where I was, who I was, and what I was doing. I threw up, actually. It freaked them out. And that began literally the rest of my life. They wanted to know if I understood things, what I wanted to do. They wanted to know what I wanted to do with my life, and pretty much told them I want to fly. I love airplanes. I love flying anyway. And they got the message from me. Basically, I want to fly this. And it took them a while to decide to say yes. It took them about 6 months. They were checking me out for it. when they finally decided, I had to agree to learn from them and to do exactly as I was told. It's sort of like joining, any organization where it's serious and it's a lot of education involved, and physical as well as mental. You have to agree, and I sovereignly, gave my permission that I would do this. And it took about 4 years. By the time I was 19 years old, I graduated and I was able to fly craft. And the craft that I had been on originally with Talata is the craft that I fly. I developed such a rapport with my craft that they decided to leave me on board as pilot. And there were 3 others beside me. When I wasn't on board, they were flying, and everybody took turns. And there began the rest of my life. I've been flying and having encounters and going places and learning things. And this is in addition to all the education I got growing up from them as well. And that's pretty much who I am. I decided to, because I saw what was going on our planet and our solar system and our people, I decided that y'all don't know the truth. None of you, not really. And we have things coming at us. And I sincerely wanted to do where I had decided to come out to people, and I had to get their permission, literally. And they said it was okay, but they briefed me for a few months before I decided to do this. And they showed me the wheres, wherefores, and ins and outs of what I was facing. And it's considerable, actually. I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for glory. I'm no guru. I am no saint. I'm none of that. I'm just a human being who was born here, who was trained by them. And I don't want humanity to be in the dark anymore. I want you all to hear the truth. And it's exactly what's needed right now. I mean, I couldn't have come out sooner, I think, or maybe I was a little slow. I thought there would be others like me, but apparently I'm one. And I've met a few that I would consider on the same path as me, but not with the same amount of training. And that disturbs me also, because I know that the governments, the shadow government, the military industrial complex, has been finding people like me and taking them out. And that disturbs me greatly. And that's who I am. This is what's going on.
Wow, that's a terrible story.
Yeah.
And I want to just show folks, you can grab a copy of the book of Dolly's experiences, what she's been through. Preston Dennett, whom the internet and the world adores as well, he wrote a book called Symmetry, a true UFO adventure. And word has it on the street that there's part 2 coming out, right, Dolly?
Yeah, we're actually working on it. And today we even discussed the last chapter. And so it's important. Yeah. We're trying to get it out by May, at least by May. So,
oh, how exciting!
Yeah.
It was riveting from cover to cover. So I will put the link in as soon as we're done in the description of this video over on YouTube. So folks, make sure you check it out. I promise you, it's a great read. You're gonna love it. So I definitely wanted to share that with you and the world. So Dolly, I know when you tell this story, it's so secondhand to you. You tell it so nonchalantly, but it's an amazing story. Your life is amazing. I mean, I know you, and I know like what you've been through in greater detail, but it's just amazing to think that you were taken. I know you guys don't like the word abducted because that's not what happened, right? It's with your permission, really.
Contacted.
Right, contacted. And you give them, the ET's, permission to board the ship and do what they do with you. Now, you've had a lifelong experience with them, obviously, and a lot has transpired. So let's just jump forward in case folks are curious. Do you still speak to these ETs today? Do you still visit them? Tell us, take us up to date a little bit.
Physically, no. 2 years ago, they had to leave our solar system. It's too dangerous for them to fly here now. And I had a colossal decision to make. I either went with them or I stayed back, and I chose to stay here. What I wanted to do was very, very important, and I gave up protection and until they can come back again. And it's basically our poles are changing, and the electromagnetic resonance, field guidelines around our earth, the way that the electricity and the magnetism comes out from our core is very chaotic, and it's doing weird things, and they can't fly it. And so I gave it up. I am in contact. Talata and I are telepathically engaged 24/7. When you fly craft, you literally are with this being in psychically so close that you practically become one person. And that link is well established between Talata and I. And so it never stops. I'm in communication with him always. He's listening to us now. Mama, I'm also in communication with, but she breaks. I have breaks in how would I say this word? Let's see. In Swedish, I know it. Let's see. In English would be the ongoing 24/7 contact breaks with her, and she's doing other things, and then she taps into me every now and then and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'll reply to her. I have one other friend that lives in the Delphi system, and her name is Micha. And Micha and I contact one another pretty much the same way. There is no distance between anybody or anything universally in our universe psychically. If I think it, they're already hearing it. And that's why it is so important to understand what it means to be conscious and understand what our consciousness is doing all the time. So instead of physical contact with them, I'm definitely in psychic contact, wide open contact. Humanity could do the same thing too. You just have to open the aperture of your abilities to and maintain that, to develop that ability so that you can be in contact.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've tried to do that a lot, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting any of them yet. I still keep trying and hoping, though. What's it like inside the craft? I mean, we've heard that inside there are no like geometric shapes, that everything is very dome like, and that like if you need a chair appears. Is that true? Like, what's it like inside these craft?
This is a craft that is engineered to be alive. It is engineered to the point that it can accept the consciousness of a being into it, so that it's like us. It becomes its body. And technologically, it is billions of years in advance of anything you ever thought of using or doing or making. Androids don't even, I mean, it's like we're playing in the dirt still, okay? With our technology, they're way past that. Talata is a larger craft. He's 175, was 178.46 something feet, what you would call a diameter. He's not completely round. He's boomerang shaped, although he does have his dimensions. Like if you see him at different angles, he's going to look different to you, but he's mostly boomerang shaped, and he does have clipping parts on his ends that can drop drones from, or others like him. His type of craft can all join together. They clip together and do a massive light gate all at the same time. Some people look up and they see this massive thing in the air, and it's really more like Talata's class craft, and they're all getting ready to light gate at the same time. And that happened a lot recently. Around 2002, people were seeing what they called motherships. You were seeing hundreds of them together going to light gate at the same time to leave here. And they did it en masse. The craft itself looks, if you see it in daylight, it is solidly looking chrome. It looks like the most molten metal you've ever seen, but it's pure. It looks like pure metallic glass. Okay. It is touchable. It will bend if you touch it. You can put your handprint into it or let go if it's not in power mode. Okay. It has light cells all over it, inside and out, so it can array with any light of any type that you could possibly imagine. You don't see lights inside because the arrays will bring up light, ambient light in the walls themselves. On the outside, they can do the same thing. They're like cuttlefish. The light receptors are so sensitive that he can mock backgrounds. In other words, if he's in a blue sky and there's a few puffy clouds around, he can mock that, go into that mode and make it look like that's what you're looking at. You can be there in broad daylight and you don't even see him. At night, he can mock anything by arraying what you're looking at, so that simply that's what you see and you're not aware that they're there. When they're in full engine mode, in other words, when they're, and I use the word loosely engine, it's not what you think. When they're in full power mode, okay, let's use that one, it's better. They don't spend a lot of time arraying at that point. He's too busy doing everything he can to keep this craft doing what it needs to be doing in that moment. They will, they're either in our atmosphere, the magnetic fields are like the ocean, okay? And they bob and they weave and they tilt and they dip and dive and all kinds of stuff. Nothing is perfectly a straight line on a magnetic field line. It does weird things. And so when you see them in the sky, if you're really looking at a real craft, you're going to notice that it looks like a boat on the water. It's going to sway and dip and sway and dip. And that's because the way they operate is they're either repelling or attracting a magnetic field line, which it could either be positive or negative or in flux. And they have to work with that as well. The way that the engineering works on this craft, the craft is so advanced that it's like me swimming in the ocean. I feel my body. I know when I'm up high, I know when I'm low. I know what my orientation is. I can dive deep and swim. This is a craft alive, indwelt, that is feeling the environment as if it's his body, and he sees it, he feels it, and he can fly by it. He is the most connected, or their type is the most connected type of bioengineered craft that there is in existence in the universe. They come from the fifth dimension. They're built there and brought into this dimension. All of them, all ET craft are built in the fifth dimension and brought here. Ask yourself a question. If beings, dimensional beings, are visiting us and paying a lot of attention to us with this kind of technology, why? And it's because they check on their children. We are their children. They are our progenitors. We belong to them. We are related to them. All life in the entire universe has DNA, and it's all related, all of it. You carry within you, your DNA, all the DNA of every type of creature universally throughout our entire universe. That's how complex this is. And when you listen to geneticists talk about our DNA and stranding it out, there's DNA that they call it junk, but it's not. You have every piece of DNA from the entire universe walking around inside your body. You are from that. You are, in essence, from the stars and from other places in the universe. And we all ethnically dime out or dial up differently, but we're all humanoid. Those of us who are sentient like this, and you'll see them, they have the same humanoid characteristics. They have a head, they have feet, they have hands, they have eyes, they have a mouth, they have a nose, they eat, they drink, they sleep, they procreate the same way we do. They have internal organs like we do. It is incredible how in the third dimension alike we all are. Extra dimensionally, meaning fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and all the way up to the 12th dimension, there are somewhat corporeal beings in the fourth dimension, but it's loose, okay? Once you hit the fifth dimension, there's no corporeal beings anymore because gravity is no longer an issue in the fifth dimension. And these are beings who are have energy bodies. We have an energy body too, but we're so dense here that we don't realize what it is, okay? Yeah. And it's important to understand that you are an energy body. That's how you indwell here and exist. And when this body dies, that energy goes away and then decides where it's going next. It brings your DNA with you, by the way. DNA is interesting. We all, like I said, dial up differently, and you can dial into familial DNA, like when mom and dad come together with the egg and the sperm. But that entity who's coming in with that has DNA too. And it's dialing it up the way it should be so that you, perfectly you and only you and nobody else but you, is indwelling this body. That's how complicated it is. The inside of the craft are very simple. They don't need art. They don't need structures that aren't that could be aesthetically pleasing to look at, but that's not what they're about. They're about coming here and helping us and watching over us and making sure that we're not about to destroy ourselves. And how do we deal with that? So the inside of the craft is malleable, like the outside. It's soft. When you're walking in craft, there's less gravity, by the way, because you're in an anti-gravity environment. And the floor can reach up and make a chair for you, or it can make a couch for you, or it can make anything that you need aesthetically when they need a table to examine somebody, or, a bathtub or anything. That craft can create that. Some crafts Talada has areas of his craft that are automatically always in that configuration. They can get bigger or smaller depending on how big or small the people are coming on craft as well. Like if we're transporting and we have Anunnaki people, it's bigger. They have to give them headroom. They have to give them space. Their chairs are bigger, and it's we like to see things a certain way because we're used to it. We paradolize everything. Talata reads that, and if you want to sit in a Queen Anne kind of a chair, he will give you one to sit in. On each deck, there are different places and things that support everybody who's working on this craft at the time that you're there. You don't need, like on Talata, there's no kitchen. Everything is brought on board that you're going to eat at the time. And it's only for so many days. And then you have to go resupply and stuff like that. They don't have like an open kitchen where cooking's going on. Not at all. It would be unwise, a waste of resources, and too hard to have on that particular craft. We have rooms where we sleep. I have a room where I sleep. I have my own quarters. I have a room where I can freshen up, wash off a little bit, go to the bathroom, that kind of thing. The clothes that we wear are recyclable. In other words, we only wear everything one time. There's no laundry on a craft at all. And they either burn it, okay, and use the energy from the burn for something else, or they recycle it. And most of the time they just, we're busy and they're germaphobes with us. So every outfit that I wear on board gets, burned. It gets, cremated, and I wear a new one. They have unlimited water on board. They have unlimited power on board. The air is perfectly great for all of us. I am used to breathing higher concentrations of oxygen and nitrogen than most people. And that's because on board, I have beings that are used to less gravity and have to have more pressure. Okay. And so I'm put in an area where instead of having a lot of grays around me at one time, there's only one mama, she can handle it, and none of the other ones can except for the AI grays, where I'm beginning higher concentrations of nitrogen like I would if I did a really deep dive in the ocean and I need more nitrogen to keep the oxygen going into me. Same thing, because the pressure is very high for these beings to exist. When they come to Earth, it's really hard for them to walk around here unless they're hybrids and they can take it to be in the pressure with us. Our gravity is not good enough for them. They are used to less gravity, but higher pressure. And that's a hard one to do when you live in less gravity, but their worlds are so big. I mean, the homeworld of the tall grays is like 5 times bigger than Earth, and yet their air pressure is intense. And I've been on there multiple times, and I do really, really well. I had one of my doctors when I was growing up said, "You have the biggest lungs on a human I've ever seen." And I'm looking at him and I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "No, really, your lungs are ginormous." He says, "Do you live in the mountains?" And I'm looking at him and I'm like, "Why?" And he said, "No, really, you have the mountains of somebody from the Himalayas. You got giant lungs." I'm like, okay. I had no answers for him. I didn't know how to explain to him that I spent time in a place where, yeah, I developed those lungs just by being there all the time. That's what I had to physically, compromise and come to while I was growing up. It's easy for us to imagine that because of what we do, we're still in the Stone Age when it comes to making things operate and do what we do. And that's because we're not using our innate abilities. We're not realizing that we have the ability to levitate things. We have the ability to be heard psychically to the point that nobody lies to anybody. Our technology is not pure light technology like theirs is. They operate under a different set of circumstances. It's so wild. When you get on these craft, most people go, "Wow, there ain't nothing in here. What's up?" And it freaks them out. It's like, "How are you doing this?" Or they'll suddenly be faced with the fact that suddenly a porthole or window opens up, and like, how did that get here? Are we gonna, what's wrong? Are we gonna lose all our, what's going on? And it's that kind of technology and that ability inside an environment that's created by graviton wave technology. It protects you from everything. And the way the emitters are on these crafts, they have an inner protective wave, and then they have an outer. And so it's unusual. It's different.
Wow. What about submersibles? Like, we hear a lot about USOs. How do they? I mean, we've seen video taken by our government of them,
Yeah,
submerging into the ocean.
they're not
What's that?
it's the same craft. They can go underwater. They can go through any medium. They can go interdimensional and literally walk themselves through a mountaintop, or go 20 miles deep interdimensionally and come out fine. You have to understand that you're in a 3D uh, gravity heavy world here where you think everything is solid, and it's not. It's all light. Every proton in your body's emitting light. You just can't see how big that is. Okay.
Mhm.
Our ability to see light is geared for here, not for everywhere else. Um, it is the same craft. We're in interdimensional mode. We're somewhere between the third and fourth dimension. We come out of time space and we're interdimensional. You can still see us, but we're not really there with you. And when they go in the water, they can slice through anything. That's why they don't slow down. That's why they can go so fast. That's why they can stay down there as long as they do. And the only reason they go underwater at all is to cool off. Their energy systems are quite hot. When we're coming in from space, we're about 29,000 degrees. That's a lot, 2,900 degrees. We're in plasma stage on the outside of us, on the outside of the secondary waves that we're encapsulated in. And to come around you would burn you up like a nuclear blast. They have to cool off. And they go from their nuclear power down to battery power. In other words, they have battery cells that are so powerful they can reproduce a graviton wave. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. And so, yeah, and once they're on batteries, they can come near you, but they have to do a lot of cooling off very, very fast. They
Is
use
that why some people get seriously injured when they approach craft or touch them?
yeah,
Is it because of all of this, what you just
yeah,
mentioned, heat
yeah.
from
The
it?
field around them is extremely hot. And that kind of energy, that you can produce to produce anti-grav is hot. A lot of us think of things as cold. Cold is not really cold. Cold is actually hot too. It can burn you up. And the outside of that craft is so cold it's hot. And it's a type of radioactive hot, and it can get you. Yes. And when we're coming in from outer space, though, think about it. We have layers and layers and layers of atmosphere, and friction against that causes the plasma to flare again. It even changes color because depending on what's in the atmosphere, they turn different colors as they're coming down. The plasma will array whatever elements they're flitting through. And if they're over the sea, most of the time you're looking at orange, burnt orange, reddish orange color. They go from that color to like a yellow. When they're really, really hot, you don't want to mess with them. If they're not around anything that's going to change their color, they look like white hot blue, like a flame, a gas flame. It turns that blue color. They're going to array like that. They have to bring it down to less than 100 degrees. And that's really hard. And that's why they use water. And they do it every time. They never, ever just come out of the atmosphere and land here, ever. They have to go to water first. Have to. So
Now, when you're boarding one of these vessels, are you taken by like what we see, this beam of light coming down, and is this like a protective light for you? Like, how do you get from point A to point B?
okay. Well, there's 3 different ways for me to get on board. If a craft hasn't powered up yet and it's in stasis, okay, it's just hanging there. It's not hot, and they can open a doorway for me, and I can get in. It has either a stair or a ramp. Depends on what the craft wants to give me. That way we get in, we button up, we tighten up, we launch. If we're in space, we launch into space, okay? And then we power up, okay? We never power up inside another craft. We never power up on the ground. It is too deadly for anybody in any world with a magnetosphere around it to power up on ground. We just don't do it. We have to go up high enough to get away from them. So anti-gravity is an interesting thing. You absolutely will just start floating off the ground because of it. We're already repelling. That isn't the power we use for movement or to light gate or whatever. That's just to get us up in the air so that we can power up. Okay. And once we hit the switch, or I hit it, we go, and I can rapidly go from 0 to Mach. I prefer Mach 7. Mach 9 is a good one too. Okay. and get the heck out of Dodge. Most people don't realize that when you see a UFO, if it's the real thing, they're not going to go this way and then this way and then that way and that way. Not unless they're interacting with you, directly interacting, and they've got your full attention, and they won't do it to just you. They'll usually wait for a party, like around schools, around, movie theaters, around sports arenas and stuff like that. And then once they've got your attention, they'll go straight up. Okay. You don't want to see one zig off. They go straight up. They just go whoop, and they're out of the atmosphere and gone. And it takes them less than maybe 2 seconds. That's it. They're gone. That's the real thing, because nothing you got can do that. Nothing. The second way I go on is, here's a funny thing. The Nazca lines out there, they've got a beautiful representation of a craft with the array light coming down, and then the energy rope. I call it energy ribbon. That ribbon is an interdimensional ribbon, and if you hang on to it, you become interdimensional with it, and it lifts you up into the craft. The light is only the first part, and it's usually a blue light. Some are white, but when you see that ribbon come down, you're about to go on board. And when I listen to people talk, I'm listening for these things for them to tell me, because I can tell. And there are other things that I will never divulge to you. If I hear you talking about it, I'll know if you're telling me the truth or not about your experience. Also, I can read your mind, so that helps. But the ribbon is one way to go up. Then they have another way. It's called red phase, where the entire craft goes from 4th dimension to 5th dimension, and they literally look like they're in red phase. They look like a big red round or oblong blob. Okay. And they will come close enough for you to walk in. In other words, they'll go within 2 feet off the ground, away from everybody, and we just walk in. You have to be brave to do that. I was trained to do it. I don't like it, and I prefer to go the other 2 ways. But yeah, you can go in red phase that way. They've been known to come in red phase to pick water up for their batteries and stuff like that, or they'll come in red phase to get electricity. If you see a great big red light over power lines and stuff like that, that's them. They're in full on phase and stuff like that to gain power. It is amazing to me that I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's a rare thing that they do when they do that. Not many people see it. I want to talk about orbs real quick.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Humans see a lot of different kinds of orbs, and I want you to understand something. If you've got your camera and you're letting your camera show you what's in front of you, a digital camera, and you start seeing orbs, you need to put the camera down and visually lock on it to see if it's really there. Okay? You will never see an orb from an ET that you can't visually with your eyes see, ever. They are not red, they are not clear, they are not white. They are generally blue, gold, or pink. And that is because it is a consciousness orb, and they do it to spy on the area that they're coming down in to make sure it's safe to come through too when they're looking for somebody. This seriously messes with people when I say this, because they say, oh no, I see orbs all the time. I know you're seeing something, but that's not ET, not at all, not at all. ETs can remote view you, and you see the energy of their mind as an orb. And it's, how whales fluke. They kind of refer to it in that manner. They're mentally coming out to look at you without coming all the way down to show themselves to you. And they are capable of it. That's how advanced they are. That's how able they are to remote view or to OBE while they're wide awake. And you will see an orb, either of those colors. Okay. But you won't see it only on your camera. You will see it, bloody see it with your own eyes. And it will show you that it's observing you. There's no games about it. You are being observed, and you will know that it's them for real. Because 2 things happen. They will mentally contact you at the same time. If you're looking at them in orb form, they're talking to you. Listen to what they say. I want you to understand something, that the shadow governments play games with human beings. And orbing is one of them. They have technology to do that. If you got something in your head and it's telling you, hey, I'm here, do not believe it right off the bat who it is. You challenge it. You say to it point blank, I can hear you psychically, so you can't lie to me. You need to tell me right now who the heck you are and where you're from. If you don't get the right answer, you need to walk away, tell it to get away from you, or you will react badly to it. Because that is not real. It's not a real ET. It is my labbing, and they're messing with you. And they do it a lot, and it's all over this planet that they do it. They've been doing it for 50 years and they're good at it. You
Mm,
can also be shown holograph
right.
ability that is so good. You think a whale is swimming through your front yard for real. Okay. They have that ability. They can show you a craft that's not there in 3D and make you see or feel that it's a craft. That's why I'm adamant about explaining to you at this time they are not here. And if you see stuff like that, you need to walk away.
So like Project Bluebeam, you mean where they're okay. What about Chris Bledsoe? He's very well known for these orb sightings. If you go to his Instagram page, he's got hundreds of videos. He was invited to NASA. He says they're angelic beings.
Okay, that's another type of entity. Okay, and they're not angelic. You live in 12 dimensions. We all do. We're all interdimensional beings, but we're hardcore in the third dimension. It's really hard for us without our abilities to see past what we're looking at while we're here. These beings live in the same exact space as you. So where you're sitting, you and me right now, you have beings in the fourth dimension who are dead up in the room with you. Okay, me too. Fifth dimensional are around, but they're not paying attention to us like fourth dimensional beings are. They kind of live life above you, around you. They interact with you. You don't even know they're doing it. And if you come to a point in your life where you're in a lot of deep, deep, deep trouble, something's wrong and you need help, they will actually come in to help you. And they look angelic as heck. And that's who they are. So this is a type of entity, same like us. They're just very extra dimensional, and they're coming into this one because they love us. We're almost family to them, and they're trying to help you, and that's what you're seeing.
So they're not ETs then, or
they're not extraterrestrial. Okay, right. Everywhere in the universe has a third dimension, a fourth dimension, a fifth dimension, and proximity is everything. Wherever you are in the universe is where those entities are going to be. We're everywhere. Like the gray entities have gray fourth dimensional entities living with them. Okay. We have earth dimension, fourth dimensional beings live with us. Okay. Wherever there's energy that can hold life in our dimension, in the third dimension, there are also fourth dimensional entities with us. Now, there's an ability that we all have, and it's called out of body. When you're out of body, there is no space-time. There's no dimensional barriers to you. Okay. And I can go anywhere in the universe out of body. I have to practice at it. I mean, it took me a long time to work this one out for myself. Okay. And go stand on another world somewhere in the universe and go, hey, how you doing? And if they're advanced, they'll see me and I can interact with them. ETs have the ability to, the grays, what you Nordic tall white types can, also the Anunnaki can, they can come visiting you. And a lot of people who are developing their abilities, or they're more psychic than they realize, will say, wow, I just saw something. These poor people got told they were crazy for years and years and years. They're out of their minds. You know, they emotionally put in mental institutions and everything else because they're seeing stuff. You know, schizophrenia is a big one. Oh, they got to explain why you're nuts. La, 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 la. They don't want you to know the truth. But yeah, people do see them wherever you go. And you can OBE every night. Most people do anyway. You just don't realize you're doing it.
Yeah, you know, I had a wonderful conversation with Preston where he even gave a tutorial to folks on how to do that. And of course, he has a book written about it, and it was amazing. And in the book, it's got a step-by-step guide. And I've been practicing. I think I'm getting a little bit better, but it takes a lot of, you know, you have to really focus and make sure your mindset is exactly where it needs to be to do that. And it's just a wonderful adventure, I think, and you guys have to check out Preston's book on it.
It's very autobiographical, that one. He's getting ready to put another one out after Symmetry. It's half written right now, and as soon as Symmetry publishes, that book's going to be right behind it. So there's another one with a little bit more detail and a little bit more advanced teaching to it.
Yeah.
Being psychic is complex, and we're organisms that were designed to do just that. But over our last centuries, in this iteration that we're in, this 12,000 year cycle, we've been beaten down and away from it in ways that are horrific. You know, our planet's polluted. We have toxins
right
everywhere. We fluoride is terrible. It's messing with the actual gland in your head that helps facilitate this with you. And then it's the education, it's the hate, it's the horror, it's everything that's just driven you away because you're more valuable to the people in control on this planet as a slave type than you are as an operating individual that would give them trouble. And they don't want you to know what you're capable of. And this is one of the reasons that I decided to stay back and just start trying to get people to wake up. It's been ET's fervent wish that we evolve here and get up to the point where we can communicate with them to the point where then we're in another era of our evolution and they start working with us more and more and more and more. But we have to reach up to that. And one of the first things that we have to do is stop lying. We have to use our abilities. We have to wake up. We have to see reality for what it really is. And we have to stop pissing away the hours and minutes and days that we have on things that have nothing to do with the evolution of our mind, our body, and our soul. And that's important.
Gosh, that's such a great point. Michelle and I had a fabulous conversation on the Matrix and how to escape it. So, folks, definitely, I know keep sending you guys to watch things, but we've had so many wonderful conversations on this network. And when we talked about the Matrix, like that affected me for days because I mean, it's exactly what you said. You know, the folks that are in control, really behind the scenes, they love creating this negative loosh, as it's so called. That's what they live off of, you know, and
Yeah.
we all provide it, whether we like to or not. So that's why it's so important to keep your headspace like really out of this negative vibe. Is that true? Where is there an unknown force to us? If you want to call it evil, Dolly, whatever name we give it, are they really feeding off of us just like portrayed
Oh,
in the
no. They're feeding off themselves. That's the sad part. The reality is this. If you choose, we're autonomous beings, and you have the right to decide which way you're going to go. You're either going to go for the positive, the light, the maturity, the wisdom, all of that, or you're going to go the other way. A lot of people stupidly believe that they have to experience both to know what that is.
right?
No, you don't, because a 2-year-old can stick their finger in a flame and go, "Ooh, that hurts. I'm not doing that again." Okay. What you don't understand that they're doing is they're giving up their existence by acting this way. They have autonomy, so they're allowed to, and we're putting up with it. And there are ways that that can change. And I'll get back to that in a minute. But while they're doing this, they're doing it to themselves, not us. They're not feeding off of us. Because when you shine light on something that stupid, it loses itself. It can't operate because it's not positive. Positive only exists. Negative, like what you would think of as antimatter, it cannot exist in positive light. It cannot, and their behavior extinguishes. They can't handle it. When you give up, you have a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime. You can come back anywhere in the universe you want and do whatever you want. But during those lifetimes, during this existence, if you keep taking away from what you know, from wisdom, if you keep giving up those things, you eventually empty yourself out. There's an old saying among Native Americans, and they say he believes this about us, that we are nothing but empty bags of skin in this iteration, that they're worried about us emptying ourselves out. And that's very true. If you're going to be that stupid, I don't like the word evil. I want to refer to it as it is: ignorant, stupid, there are terrible things I could say about it, but that's what it is. You know, you have to tell the truth about what things are. Okay. Evil is only a description of somebody who is that stupid, but what made them that way or how they make themselves that way is more important to understand, because you can't point to evil and say, "Ooh, that's evil. I'm not going to do that." You need to understand why you shouldn't do that. One of them is that evil lives in a delusional world. It believes its own BS. It's only interested in what it thinks. It's like narcissism on a scale of untold proportions. That's why narcissism is such a bad problem, because there are a lot of people walking around here totally deluded, totally in their own minds, totally unempathetic. They've given up every right to their ability they have, and they're operating angrily because they are living in their head and they can't get out of it. That's why they're the way they are. So we got all these people that have had all this time to be this bad, this stupid, and have developed unbelievable power over us with it, only because we let them. That's a point. And it's off the charts. ET can't deal with that at all. It affects your DNA. If you're going to be that emotionally stupid, that spiritually empty, that morally bankrupt, that not wise, they can't handle it. They can't deal with you that way. What are they going to do? Come in and do it for you so you learn it? No. We have to change that for ourselves. That's what autonomy means. Each one of us has the right to decide which way we're going to go and how we evolve through it. And we're not paying attention to that because we don't see past what we really are here. And that's why developing your abilities is so important, because the truth starts popping in. You can't walk away from the truth. These people are unable. That's why they have no empathy, because empathy has nothing to do with religion or belief. Empathy has to do with knowledge. Okay, your ability to see and understand what's going on outside of your own body. And it's not just us, it's everything in our purview on the planet, all the animals, all the things that we're doing to one another. That's true empathy. When you understand why that's not okay. You know, it's not just that if you're having a bad day and you know you're empathetic and you can't deal with that, you're in a lot of trouble, because yes, sir, you're supposed to deal with that. You're supposed to understand what that is and guide it, help it, structure it, whatever. We're responsible for each and every person on this planet. And the reason that they've gotten away with this is we've let them.
Right, that's true. So
Okay.
you don't believe in like the traditional good versus evil?
No,
Like,
because it evolves violence to rectify, and there's no rectifying it. It's gone on and on and on and on and on, and it'll never stop, because you can't use violence to stop it. You can't use violence to rectify it. You can't use violence to put it down. You can't use violence to teach it. That's why love is so important, in understanding what love really is and how love is more powerful. But you have to employ that. You have to understand every aspect of that, what it means. You know.
so so if there's no good and evil, really, I mean, I know they're labels, right?
Yeah. There's
Whatever.
decisions. We make decisions in our lives. Everybody does. And
Right.
for every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction. Yes, that's a fact. It's non-negotiable. That's a fact. In every part of existence, that is employed in everything. For every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction. So if you act negatively, or you have a bad day, or you react, or you're emotional, or you do whatever, that reaction goes out in front of you and waves around and hits all kinds of things, and it reverberates right back onto you. And most people who are delusional don't see that happening. That's where everybody else who's in the room needs to help this person stop and say, why did you do that? Do you know that you've done something you shouldn't have done? And let's help you figure out a way to fix it. And that's why forgiveness is so important, why not judging is so important, why healing is so important. We must heal ourselves and then help heal everybody else. And you don't do that with hate. You don't do that with prison. You don't do it with any of that.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If there's no innate evil, what accounts for children that are born with the propensity for evil? Like, we hear about stories about, is it just mental illness where you hear children killing and abusing animals and stuff like that, and they're at a young age?
They learned it. We're already operating at a genius level when we're born. You don't understand that everything you see, feel, hear, and think from birth forward is already programmed. And the consciousness that's living within that body is already aware. Okay. Everything that you hear from the moment of, or even before birth, babies hear inside the mother's womb. They're hearing either good or violence or love or negativity. And they come into this world already operating on certain levels. You either have mothers who are teaching their babies goodness and love and empathy during the process of bringing your life out to the life, or you're not. Women who are doing drugs, drink too much caffeine, have bad attitudes, stinky, are already teaching their children something that's wrong. And these children are, by process, victims or associates of their mothers and then their father's duo or whoever's around them of that, and they grow into that, naturally go that way. We're computers. We have a brain, a physical mind, and whatever you teach it, talk it, garbage in, garbage out, hate in, hate out. And it starts at conception, and it is our responsibility, human responsibility, not to give negativity to a life in the middle of creation. It is our responsibility to teach that life and bring it forward already in full knowledge of certain things. Babies hear every word you say, and you can teach them many, many things. I know it. I've done it. Okay. We don't have to have stupid children when they're born. We don't have to accept somebody else teaching our children that which they should know. It's our responsibility. Each one of us, each parent has the given right and responsibility, the maturity, though should have the wisdom to know that this is affecting their child. If you breed hate, your hate's going to be in your DNA, and the propensity for propagating it again and again and again is real high. That's what's happening. You can heal that by not giving that to your unborn child. By only giving your child hate, you can break the cycle of that and reorganize your DNA into which way we should go. And that's what ET wants us to realize. We have a lot of geneticists who already know this. Violence, hate, greed, all of that is in our genes. And we are the ones that have to heal ourselves out of it. And it starts with each one of us on a one-to-one level from this day forward, every day that you exist. Important.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot to take in. What about the paranormal in the sense of ghosts and hauntings? And I want to get your take on that.
Yes.
What
I don't like to use the word paranormal. It's normal. Okay. First of all, this is normal creation. This is normal life. This is normal existence. We're all entities, all of us. We're all consciousness. So just because you have a physical body doesn't mean that you can't consciously go out somewhere and do something in this plane of existence. When you pass away, when your body passes away, some people don't leave here because they're confused. They're like, what the heck just happened? And they stay for a while. And you can actually meet these people. I see them all the time. You know, it's like, oh, what's wrong? Are you okay? And try to help facilitate them onto the next move of their existence. You know, you point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Hauntings are probably really pissed off people sometimes. I'm not going to say it's 100% all the time, because energy takes on a life of its own. And you can put something horrific energy into something that's holding it, and you walk into that and you go, whoa, that's haunting me. What the heck is that? Okay.
Right.
That's serious stuff. Again, you're responsible for the negativity you create. And if you imprint it onto something, it's going to last a while until somebody comes in there and clears it. Okay. But yes, we can walk amongst ourselves here before we move on. There are ghosts, if you want to call them ghosts. It's just us after the physical life deciding what to do with ourselves. That's all it is. It's not paranormal. It's the normal progression of existence and where we're going and what we're doing as honest to goodness, real entities, living light. Okay.
What about these shadow people that are often seen? Are these just folks that refuse to move on, or what?
No. Remember, we talk about 12 dimensions and we're in the third dimension, but we don't think about what's in the first and the second. The first dimension doesn't really have anything. It's so gravity heavy, nothing could exist there anyway. It's a mainframe of existence. In the second dimension, though, there are entities that are there for whatever reason, have decided to go there, and they look shadowy and they observe everything. It's like almost like it's been put to me this way. If you're trying to come into existence in a certain place, you might want to go there and just observe everything for a while before you do it. So you get a flavor of it and decide if this is what you want to do. And that would be the second dimensional existence. And you see them as shadow people, you know, and they're there. They're not here to hurt you, maim you, or anything else. They are just watching. That's it.
Do you think any of these entities have the ability to hurt us in the physical world?
That's a complicated question and answer. If you're psychic enough to manipulate light, you can scare somebody into hurting themselves. Okay. And as we have all been trained to be afraid of everything, that's a real easy job for something on the other side or outside of the physical realm in this dimension with you to mess with you so that you do hurt yourself. Okay. It is illogical, it is unreasonable, and it is stinking thinking to believe that something that can harm you. You are a light being, your energy itself, and nothing can harm you unless you give it permission. Nothing.
Ah,
Okay. And that's the part that we all need to get. If you practice being afraid of everything, if you practice getting ready to have something come at you and it goad you into doing something wrong, you are an idiot because you did give it permission. And it can talk you into hurting yourself, not the other way around. It has no physical ability to touch you, tempt you, or anything else except to goad you into hurting yourself. If you really go into, I guess, all the stories about hauntings, possessions, and all that stuff, and you really dig through it and you really do the research on it, you'll find that everybody who's done something stupid or had something stupid happen to them happened at their own behest. They caused it. We're just psychic enough to cause things to happen to ourselves. And I'll give you a for instance.
yeah.
When I was 2 years old, I was telekinetic. I mean, oh my God, I could levitate everything. I figured it out really young. I got angry at my aunt once. She was angry with my cousin who was 2 years older than me, but she was born early and she was mentally retarded. Okay. And I loved her and I very protective. And she came in my room running from her and she came in after her and she was going to get her. Okay. My closet door opened in my room and all of my mother's hat boxes flew straight to my aunt's head.
Oh,
I know I did that. I caused that to happen. And as I got older, I realized that the door swings both ways. If you don't understand why, then you're in trouble and you need to really think through this. All energy is energy. And if you throw negative energy at somebody with telekinesis abilities, you can cause havoc. My aunt didn't get hurt by them. By the time they got to her, the momentum of it slowed down and they just whapped her a little bit. Okay, I didn't cause damage to her, but I wanted her attention to stop. And that was my intent. There are people who are being accosted by energy outside of them because it's looking at them as an easy target. They want their attention. They want them to see them, and they'll do anything to get it. They're not living in a body anymore, and it causes emotions you wouldn't believe. I run across entities that are so malicious as to do anything they can to get you to do anything stupid to yourself. Now, here's the point. I'm capable of telekinesis, and so are you. And you're capable of doing telekinetic horrors to yourself like a poltergeist, because most people are their own poltergeist and they're hurting themselves. That's where it begins. That's what it is.
so anytime we see or hear about people getting scratched, like say they go on an investigation, they're getting scratched, they're getting pushed, all
Right.
of that is happening because their energy is producing that.
Yeah. If you
Attack.
believe something's going to get you, you allow that to happen and you create the energy for it. They can't do it. You can. You do it to yourself. You're the one in full physical control of your body. You are. Everything that happens to you is by your own initiative. And if you're mentally letting that generate onto you, you will give it a reason to happen to yourself. For every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction. If you intend love, love comes back to you equally. Okay. If you intend hate, the opposite will come back to you. Hate will come back to you. If you're a hater and you hate somebody else, that person doesn't take the hate. You do. You do it
Right.
to yourself. Okay. It's not that complicated. You just have to understand cause and effect. Buddha was trying really hard to teach people this. We need to give up all these negative emotions, just let them go, because the only person you're really hurting is yourself. Okay. You're tearing yourself to shreds while they're walking around going, okay.
Right.
You want to
Right.
teach, if you want them to understand why they have issues and then you love them and teach them in a loving way. And that comes back to you as love. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What about getting back to these ETs for a minute? We've been seeing a lot of footage and hearing testimony about these egg-shaped ET craft. What is going on with these egg-shaped craft? Are
They're
they craft? What are they?
They're not ET, they're back engineered eggs that they created, and they made them white, which I find hysterical because they can't replicate the actual skin of these ET craft. They're drones, and the drones aren't exactly perfectly egg shaped. They have a flat bottom. They can sit down and not roll around. Okay. There are batteries in there. They have to have those batteries, and Mork and Mindy are not it. And it's funny, if you go back to Mork and Mindy, they've seen them in the skies. Okay. And they were, how humans, how do I put this? If you like somebody and you like how they act or what they do, you emulate them, correct?
Right.
Well, these guys are idiots because they emulate in something that they think exists, only they're doing it for the wrong reason, okay? And they're emulating their technology in a way that is obvious to those of us who know what they're looking at. They're not white eggs. A real one, you can ask Michael Surratt, they're the most beautiful chrome looking things you've ever seen in your whole life. Okay. And they do not land on the ground. They only fly. Those that had bad days and crashed will crack open and you can see what's inside. And he has drawings of that as well. Their technology, all ETA technology is comprehensively the same. Okay. They've evolved to that point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. One of the reasons they can crash here is, like I said, when the field guidelines are messed up and there's error by the pilot, they can go down, and they do. And that's why they stop, because it's happening so fast now. The field lines are so chaotic. There's just no way to, I can't psychically tell a field guideline to stay there. And I can't predict what it's going to do. There are some things you can't predict in the third dimension, and that's one of them. So they're not flying here for that reason. I hear people talking about, well, we have scalar weapons and we can call them down at will. That is misinformation, disinformation at the highest levels. No. I have the ability in flight with ET to know when you're going to do or say anything. Any move you make in a jet, airplane, or on the ground, I am already aware of it. I hear you in real time. I can also, in dimensional space, hear you before you say it or before you decide to do it. That's serious stuff. There's an amount of how do I put it? This is going to be hard to describe to you. Let's see if I can give you a good corollary. I'm going through a thunderstorm, okay? At the middle of it, it's very dense and it's really hard to see anything. You're just seeing walls of white or black, okay? But as you're coming out of the storm, the density of it starts to get clearer and clearer and clearer until you're completely out of it, okay? Psychically, we can amplify those effects. In other words, outside this dimension, if I go fourth dimensional, I have no more timeline. I have no more impediment of that. And that which we see so clearly as an obstacle wall fans out. And I have any amount of time I desire to know what the hell it is you're going to do. That's how advanced they are. So if I'm flying above you or below you and you decide to do that, I already know it's coming and I match you instantly. I stay with you. ET has done this repeatedly. They don't tell you the truth that they have us on gun cameras or other cameras on the craft where we've circled a craft with 4 others and made every move before they could. We mirrored them. Okay. We didn't hurt them, but we mirrored them. And we had to be careful because if our emitters are pointing at a vehicle like that, we can knock out their system. So we have to be very careful. Sometimes we fly upside down to do that, to prove to them that don't play with us. There's no weapon that you could shoot from the ground at an ET that they don't already know that you're going to do it minutes before. You cannot take an ET down doing anything because they're that psychic, they're that interdimensional, and they have that open time sequence that from the center of it, outside of it, that they already know. Okay. It is a lie. It is a human lie, and it's their agenda to make you think that they can shoot them down. And there's a reason for that, because they're already running false flags. It's going to become a national security incident, and they're going to make you think that ETs are attacking you and killing you so that they can run you into places for safety, and they're not safe. They're going to blame ET for what they're going to do to you. That's their agenda. Point blank, bottom line, no holds barred. That is the truth. Seriously.
Can ET do anything to prevent this from happening?
Oh,
Why is
why
that?
would they? Okay, I want to make you understand something. This is where maturity, wisdom, and understanding of what you are and who you are and why you are is so important. You are an autonomous being. We are here together, working together on our own to elevate ourselves, to become wise, to evolve. That's our job here in this dimension. Everybody agreed to it when they came here.
Right.
Not everybody is doing it. ET does not have the right of interference. Why would they? Why would they take a whole bunch of people who are that violent, that stupid, weaponizing and hating everybody else into their arms and say, oh, it's okay, baby, it's all right. No, fix it or you're done. Every lifetime is very short. We are only here for between 80 and 100 years now. That's our lifespans. Think in terms of your lifespan and the entire lifespan of our entire universe. Okay. It always has been, it is always going to be. So your little spit in the bucket is nothing, and you're going to come back somewhere else and do something, whether you learn it or not. They don't have a right to interfere with that. They didn't have anybody interfering with them, and they're not going to do it to us. When you have a child, you teach your child how to ride the bloody bicycle without getting hurt. You teach your child how to make good decisions for themselves so they evolve and they do the right thing. But you can't, it's a bad parent who helicopters or takes over and does things for their children without letting them learn those lessons. This is what this place is. So if we're all going to, mess up this bad, we deserve what we get. That's a serious concept to evolve into. Okay. I'm 100% responsible for who I am, what I am, and what I do. And I'm just as responsible for how I react to you, and you, and what I say or do to you, and you. And we're all in this together. If you don't understand that they're us, we're them, and we're all one universally, that there is one source. We are all from the same source. We're all the same people. We are all the same. And we need to learn to get that, because we're not acting like that now. We're not operating like that in any way, shape, or form. And it's time for everybody to wake up, everybody to get it together, because you're leaving soon, sooner than you think. And it's time for people to wisely know what the truth is, to interrupt the programming that you've been given and think for yourselves and teach yourselves that truth, period. Okay.
Gosh, that's so true. I'm going to just take a quick break. For those of you tuning in, you are listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled with our guest, Dolly Safran. And thank you so much, Dolly, for being here today. We are live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And thank you again for joining us. Please join in the chat. Make some comments or some questions. We love hearing from you. So now, what, if any, was something you sustained that was negative, not pleasant in your interactions with these ETs? Was there anything you can remember?
Well, from my perspective, not theirs, because I'm a human being like you are, and I'm a hybrid human being, but I had to learn too. Okay. I've had unpleasant moments where I had to face the fact that I'm an idiot, an asshole. Excuse my French, sorry.
That's fine.
And I was doing something I had stinking thinking. Human beings have the capacity to love, greatly love, but we also have the capacity to be jealous,
yes,
resentful, revengeful, all these things. Okay. And ETs have a lot of very serious structure in their society. And one of the things I learned as a child with them is that they would go dead silent on me. I mean, I would get suddenly nobody's in my head talking to me at all. I mean, whoop, nothing. And that's a big heads up. I learned it really fast. Uh-oh. What'd I do? Sometimes mama would come forward and say, what do you think's going on right now? I'm like, I don't know. What did I do? Now, the fire is under my feet and my backside. I'm hot because I just realized that I did something colossally not okay, and they're not talking about it, and I need to figure out what the heck that is. That's how they teach their children, okay? And she'd say, go back. What was going on until this happened? And I'd have to think it through, no matter what the situation was, and figure out what it is that I did that was so colossally stinking thinking, or, ignorant, dumb. And once I got my brain wrapped around it, I had to see how it affected everything around me. because of it. I had to learn for myself, teach myself that this wasn't a good idea because and why. And oh my heaven, how do I fix this? How do I eradicate what just occurred? Because I just put energy out there for something and I don't want it to come back wrong and I don't want it to hurt anybody. So then I had to come up with a plan on how to fix this. Once I did that, once I admitted openly in my mind to everybody, okay, I see it, I understand. Oh, wow. Do you know how painful that is for a human being to go through? How many children do you see when a parent says, "Did you do that?" And they go, "No." You want to know why they say no? Because they're not facing themselves. They're not
Right.
listening to what they did. They force you into that. That's how they evolve. Okay, that's part of their society. And I can't tell you how many times that I've been unpleasantly reminded that I got a lot more to learn about everything, and that this is hard. Okay, but once I learned it, it became part of who I am, and I became able to employ that wisdom, that knowledge. This is how we should be teaching each other here. Okay, instead of yelling and screaming and accusing and all this other stuff, this is a total waste of time. You just, you just give them the look. Excuse me, what'd you do? We have to be a little bit more verbal because we're not wide open psychic. We have to start somewhere on this plane to learn these things. That's unpleasant. And one time I got real resentful against ET, and I found out real fast that that's not something you do to them ever. They take that as you giving up your place.
Oh, wow.
You will back up for that, and you won't be sent where you have to redo it, understand it again, or whatever. But you're not in line anymore where you were. You're not learning where you should be. You're back here, and it is painful. That is painful. ET can be that way for humankind, and we look at it as, oh, they're not nice. They're doing the best they can for you, and they're trying to show you how and why that is. Okay, I can't give you knowledge that you aren't ready to understand, accept, or employ. I can't give you wisdom that you haven't proffered for yourself.
Right.
And that can be very, very painful for us. And that's what's hard about dealing with ET. That's the hardest thing. They are not mean. They are not violent. They are not any of that. They've been nothing but loving and kind to me. They have once stopped me short of annihilating myself. Okay, that they will do. They'll stick their hand out. If you're with them, physically with them, they'll go, no, not going there. Think why, fast, It's like my dad, if I was with my dad, we were walking along a cliff line and I started to step off it, my dad would have yanked me back. That's how they are, okay, if they're with you. But they're not living with us. They're not part of our existence. They're only watching us. They're observing us. They are encouraging us. They're trying to help us learn. They will teach you anything psychically you want to know. They'll download you in 10 seconds. You have to be able to do that, though. You have to be able to contact them. You have to be able to get it. And I'm going to tell you the secret to that. You can say you were taught by them all day long, but until you confirm it 100%, and you can come back and say, this is absolutely true and I can prove it. Why? You don't open your mouth and say nothing to nobody until you do that. And that's where we are lacking. We have to understand that we have to verify everything. I can listen to somebody all day long, but until I understand what that is and I can employ that knowledge, I haven't learned anything from them. And I'll probably repeat it wrong because I haven't done the work to earn it.
What exactly do they want from the human race?
Nothing. They desire, they are willfully hoping that we catch up, that we evolve. That's their greatest hope for us. That's the greatest love gift that you can give anybody, is the hope and the energy to show us that we are capable of anything. All we have to do is work for it.
You have a lot of fans out there.
The truth is the truth. I mean, I can talk to you all day long and I can say weird things that everybody's saying, and you're going, oh, I don't understand. How can that be? And you keep asking more and more and more and more questions. But when you hear somebody giving you absolute truth, you go, oh yeah, there it is. And that's what I'm hoping is happening. And if you don't understand something, I say, bloody go look it up, learn it for yourself. That's what I hope. That's what ET wants. They want us to learn for ourselves. They're showing us all kinds of stuff, and we're doing nothing with it. We keep running around arguing about what's going on. That's not okay.
What about things like cryptids? Are they from different dimensions too, like Bigfoot and other cryptids? What's your take on that? Because there's so many sightings of them, and
I'm going to be brutally honest with you, okay? It's time.
yeah.
Brutally honest means unless you can have it walk in a room with you and say, hey, how you doing? You've seen something you can't explain. You've got no proof. You've got no evidence. You've got nothing. And yet you're spouting it like it's reality. Don't do that. You can't prove it to yourself that it's real if you don't have the evidence with you. If it hasn't presented itself to you in a manner that you can look at it, put the light on it, have other people observe it with you, interact with it. This is reality. This is science. Okay. We have a lot of people saying a lot of things and they're seeing things that are not there. Humans, pareidolia, everything. That is a big word. Look it up. What you're doing in your own mind is you're filling information in there to describe it to yourself because you don't understand it. And that's pareidolia. Okay. You're filling information in that may or may not exist. It's not proof. It's not truth. It's just you telling yourself stuff.
But what about the videos that we see? Do you think they're all fake? And what about Bigfoot? I mean, historically, there's, they've been seen for decades, and we have so many people having footprints of them that they plaster cast.
This is a phenomena. Okay, I will call it a phenomena that does not want you to have 100% proof of what it is. You have to look at it. When you prove something, you don't prove it from the front to the back. You prove it from the back to the front. Okay. By saying that, this is what I mean. This is an entity, and I'm using the word correctly, and I wouldn't use the word cryptid either. This is a sentient being among sentient beings who have the ability to come here and do what they do without interference from you. And they will not give you any proof one way or the other. And all these years and in all this time, nobody's been able to give you example A, have they? And that's because it will not let you. ET has done the same thing. We may have, and I'm going to be honest about this, where are the bodies? I want to tell you something. The AI turn off and they, what's the word I want to use? They fall apart really easy. You can't freeze them into stasis. You can't hold the body. They decompose rapidly. They're designed to do that. So you have no real evidence of what they are, or you can't artificially bring that back to life. Okay. At all. ET are the same way. And a lot of times when they die on this planet in a crash or whatever, they have other ETs coming in and removing the bodies, rapidly getting them heck out of here. The people here have had bodies, but they don't have bodies.
Okay, so when the whistleblower said that biologics were discovered, do they still have those bodies, or did they disintegrate?
They disintegrate. It's been too long. No, they can't reproduce them. So now they're making dummies and they're showing you pictures, but they can't produce that at all. No.
Wow. Now these grays, are they AI grays, or are they?
There are 5 different ethnicities of the grays, and they come from different places. The little AI grays are biological AI, but they're not like AI that you understand. We here have stupidly given AI the ability to do what it wants, to learn at its own pace.
Right.
They're so evolved. That's not how this works. This AI can hear them psychically. They communicate back and forth at will. Okay. They have a job to do and they stick to what that job is. And when it's done, they turn off. They do not stay awake. They are not part of a connected hive mind. There's no central computer in them that's giving them directions. Each one of them is slightly autonomous in that it does what it's told to do. And that's because they have online live psychic beings who can control them in the minute that they're on. And then from the minute that they're off, they're off. Whitley Strieber described them as stacking like cordwood. I find that very funny. Yeah, they do that. They'll put them in a room all together, blah, 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 and they bring them out when they need them. They make no autonomous decisions about anything. They follow their programming strictly to what it is. That's why they get confused. That's why they look at you funny sometimes. They have no emotions, not really. They can do what I call repetitive. If they know you for a long time, and there are two that know me really well, have been with me back and forth, back and forth. I've had communication with them, and they've noticed my mannerisms. They've noticed what I expect. They know how I think. They've followed my structure of how I think, and they can play to that a little bit. It's called familiarity, and they can be familiar with you, but they
Yeah.
are not thinking at all. Okay. They're just doing what they're told to do. They don't fight back. They can't hurt you. If you hit one, you're going to take it out. They're that fragile, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, there's them. Then there's the little teeny short grays that kind of look blue, more blue than gray. They have a blue cast to their skin,
Mhm.
that are like elves and dwarves and stuff like that. They're very short, and they're very, very, very smart. And they're, I would call them the mother types on this amongst us.
Are they sentient? Are they sentient beings?
Oh yeah, they are
Yes.
sentient beings just like we are. Then they're the mid-sized grays, and they have two ethnicities. Ones are 3-fingered, and some are 4-fingered. Okay, and they can be as tall as 5.5 feet, 6 feet tall. I call them the mid-sized guys, but their fingers. There are 3-fingered ones. They wear prosthesis to be in our 3D, third dimensional spaces with us, because 3 fingers is not real manipulative in this dimension. Okay. Then there are the tall grays, and they always have 4 fingers only. 4 fingers. They have, when I was little, I used to think I was going to be 4-fingered, honest to God. Somewhere I read that this was a human misnomer that I paid for dearly. And now I thought, they said that we were evolving away from that 4th finger and that 4th digit on our toes. And I thought it would happen in my lifetime. So I was like excited. I'm going to be like Mama. I'm going to have 4 fingers. Didn't happen. And I had to understand why. I was mad. I was like, how dare they lie to us about stuff like that? We are not evolving away from 4 fingers. Our particular ethnicity has 5. And we have enough Anunnaki in our DNA now that sometimes they come up 6-fingered and 6-toed. And redheads are part Anunnaki. Also, that's Anunnaki DNA as well. We're very related to them, by the way. It amazes me. You see people that look like Nordic types, tall whites. They call them tall whites. No, that is not how they talk about themselves. That is not who they are. These beings are ancient, and they are huge, and it takes them a long time to grow. Their society is so, I would use the word strict, according to us. Okay. If you break protocol with them, just forget it. They won't talk to you anymore, have anything to do with you. That's their lifestyle protocols are and they're protective of their young, to the point that don't look at them the wrong way. You will regret it. Okay.
Wow.
And they're not mean. They're not violent or anything. They just won't have anything to do with you. And you will understand that just happened to you, that no more chances. You're done. Go away.
What is breaking protocol to them? What's an example of that?
We have protocols where we greet one another. You say, hey, how you doing? I love you. Give a hug, give a handshake, blow a kiss, whatever. Those are protocols of behavior. Okay. And if you misstep in a behavior protocol, you're like, are you thinking or not? Because they make sure that you understand who they are, what they are, and why they are, if you're going to have anything to do with them. And you better understand that that's how you act around them, or it's not going to happen.
So they're affectionate people. They have the same type of
emotion. Yeah. Blood types, all of it. But they are very, very evolved in their society, in the way they act with one another. Absolutely. Seriously.
Wow. A lot of this is new information. I never realized that they actually felt like the same type of love that humans do.
Every entity in this universe, all of life, has the ability to love like we do. Animals, us, all of it. Universe-wide. That's saying something. I'm going to read something to you. It's in the beginning of Symmetry, and I bring it up every now and then. This is a good point to bring it up. Okay. I want you to understand what this means. Talata made me write it down word for bloody word. It made me read it back to him twice till he understood that I had it perfectly, and it got put into Symmetry for this reason. He wouldn't let the book come out until we put this in here. Be ready. Okay.
Yep.
Well, this is what love is to them universally. throughout our entire universe, all entities. Okay. This is something that they want us to learn, and it's titled Be Strong in Love. Love is what carries through, love is what heals, love is the strength of life. Love has no limit. Therefore, let love become who you are. Let love evolve to its fruition. Let the light that is love burn bright. Let its wisdom guide you to higher understanding. Let its power move you to teach its power to others. Love, be strong in love. That is an edict. All love must be accomplished. That is their motto. All love must be accomplished. It is the first time I've said that verbally, that particular phrase, and they mean it.
Wow. There's a lot of people that I talk to long for some type of contact with these entities. Like I was talking to a ufologist last week, and he said, even when I'm out with my dog, I'll try to meditate and say, can you show me yourself? Can you appear to me? I'm benevolent. I have no ill intent and nothing. And yet some people can attract hundreds of them supposedly, by just standing outside and calling to them. How does that work? Who gets chosen, Dolly?
Nobody. I want you to understand what I'm about to say. So listen to what I say.
Yep.
Stop thinking in your head. Everybody who's listening to my words now, stop what you're thinking and hear exactly what I say. Play this back 100 times until you understand what I say. You are capable of communicating anywhere in the universe. Inside of you, you have that ability. You do not need to be proven anything to. You have the ability to prove it to yourself. I am not a clown who will do tricks for you to show you this is real. Reality resides in you, all of you. And the only way to do that is to open your mind, open the aperture of your third eye. What I mean is go from shut eye to open eye. Open the aperture to your mind. Experience everything as it really is. You're the one who has the ability to do this and nobody else. Once you achieve that, once you're in that you can do that, everything hears you. You hear everything else. You're going to attract a lot of people going, hey, look, there's one right there. She hears us. Okay. And you'll get a lot of contact that way because you did the work. You opened your mind. You're proving it to yourself. I am not going to sing and dance for you to prove to you that I can sing and dance. I don't have to. It's my ability and I have it. I expect you to do it. Parents don't look at their kids and say nothing to them while they're trying to learn how to walk. Right. They expect them to do it. They expect them to get up on all fours and then stand. And they're excited when they do. Yay! And they get a lot of attention for it, don't they? They're waiting for that from you. They're waiting for you to make contact, not the other way around. They've already done the work. It's up to you.
That's a good point. That's really a good point. Does meditation help? Because it's like there are times when we think we have our third eye open. We think we're in that state. And obviously we're not. Like, what is it? What helps us connect better with our ET family? Is there anything else we can do?
Okay. All right. There are steps and stages to everything. And the very first thing that you will need to start working on is you, not ET, you. Okay. So let's start from that platform. Let's start with that foundation. Okay. You on this planet have been living a life of disruption, not being able to think for 3 minutes without being disturbed somehow. You disturb yourself, others disturb you, everything's coming in on you. Right. You don't have the ability to focus for any long periods of time. Meditation is to teach you how to focus. Meditation is to teach you how to shut up because you're so busy overlaying everything psychically with blah, 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 everything in your life going on, every hate, every fear, all of that is attacking you and you're letting it in and you don't know how to shut it up. Meditation teaches you to be quiet, to center, to be focused. You have to do it. You. Okay. Once you go down into that, there's no convincing you whether you've done it or not. You know you've done it because nothing is there except just you and your mind. That's it. You see the black chalkboard. You see nothingness. You're now one inside that focus. When you can do that for an hour or more, and you've shut up long enough to see what's actually going on around you, then you write it down. Life is a journey, and we have to verify everything we do. Okay? You verify that you're doing this journey properly. You don't have a mama there to teach you this right now. You're an adult, and now you got to go back and start from square one. Do that. What are the parameters of this? Turn the damn TV off. Turn off the radio. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Turn off the hate. Turn off the noise. Prepare a place for you to relax and not be disturbed. Any position you want to be in, and go within. You must learn to go within and singularly be quiet before your psychic mind opens up so you can hear everything. Here's the other half of this. While you're doing that, you must stop feeding yourself things that gum up your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is being attacked by fluoride, toxins, and things like that. Clean up your environment around you. Clean up your water supply for what you drink. Remember that it carries life in it. It carries energy in it. And if you're drinking stinking, no good, bad thinking water, you're putting that in your body, and your body's taking the resident energy from it and using it the wrong way.
Right.
Learn to eat whole foods, clean foods, foods without toxins, foods that are meant to work with your body type and who you are. Learn what that means. Learn how to grow your own food toxin-free. It is important that we understand that every day we are alive, meditation is not 5 minutes in our life. Meditation is something that we employ 24/7. I am always centered. I am always ready. That's why I'm able to access energy and knowledge at the rate that I do, because I'm already there. And there's nothing you could do or say to me to take me out of that. I'm in it 24/7. It took me a lifetime to get there. You can get there, I promise. But it's the first step, the first day, and the first hour of your existence. From the moment you start to do this, you have to be willing to do it always. That's an agreement you make with yourself. That's an intention that you make with yourself. That's a plan that you make with yourself. And so all those things that I just said, all those things that you need to do to help yourself have to be observed and employed. You employ silence, you employ Wi-Fi free, you employ hate free, you employ all of that, because meditation alone, just the concept of meditation, is not going to teach you what you want to know. It is a huge lifestyle change. It is a huge mental change. It is a huge decision to heal what you're doing now and make yourself the way you ought to be. And that is important for you to understand. That means, and that's like, if everybody on the planet did this in a single day, if everybody agreed to agree about this and turned off all the stupid stuff and shut them all out and decided, and we all started doing it, you would see stuff happen. Oh my God.
Oh, I imagine.
Because you would stop thinking all the stupid stuff, and you would let the truth and reality come in on you, and you would hear what the universe is saying. It's very chatty. It's talking to you all the time, but you can't hear it because you're not listening. You got to try. You must do it, actually. One of the
It's sad, though. It's so sad when you think about it, because so many of us deeply long for this connection. Like we yearn for it, and it's like you can almost feel it. It's like right there.
You understand that you're looking at the crown and you're not looking where you're at. You have people in your life that you should be longing for that connection with. People that you came here to be with, and you don't have that connection to. Stop worrying about what ET is doing and worry about where you're at right now. There are people in your life, loved ones, children, neighbors, everybody who you should have that kind of connection with. Open connection, because psychic ability is way better than anything you can think of. And once we start imbibing and enjoying each other psychically, we start to go, oh, I get it. And love blooms and wisdom erupts, and people start doing things that evolve you up into the places you can be. And then ET is there. They're there whether you are there or not. They're all around you all the time. They're not talking to you because you can't hear them in the first place or make that kind of contact. But how do you expect to talk to them if we can't talk to ourselves and each other here? Okay, let's do things in the right order. Let's, I don't want the ice cream without the cake. Okay, but I have to eat the cake to get the ice cream. That's a simple way of putting it, but what's that? That band, you can't have any dessert if you don't eat your meat, you know?
Oh, Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
You
Pink
still
Floyd.
have
Yeah,
dessert,
right. How
but
are
you
you
put
going to
it
get to there when you haven't gone through here first? This is all good stuff. We should learn to
right.
enjoy where you are. Now, here's the most important part of this.
Yeah.
Start thinking like this. You're in a time zone here. We're in gravity heavy, and every second of your life is where you're at right now. Right now, we're in this second. Okay. Be where you're at. Don't worry about what happened. Don't worry about what's in front of that second. Be here. Be present. Be in the now. Okay. You can't worry about what ET's doing because right now you can't reach ET if you wanted to. And you've got a wife, a husband, a child, a dog, a squirrel, whatever that's going. I would love to have a real conversation with you. I would
Yeah.
love to be in
Sad.
love with you. I would love for us to get together and be at peace with each other. We're so busy hating here that nobody's getting the point of that. And all the meditation in the world isn't going to help you until you develop and understand what this all means. Okay. No religion is going to teach you that either. They walk you away from the truth.
Yeah.
Stick into the now, stick into the moment.
I mean, all we hear about is disclosure, disclosure. My dog's got a big mouth. He's a
I
little
love
guy.
your dog. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think about what is disclosure to you, Dolly?
Okay. I want you to understand what it really is.
Yeah.
If somebody with a carrot or a big pretty ring is walking around dangling it in front of you and keeping you from knowing the truth, and they're saying disclosure, come on, let's look at it. I got the truth. You want to hear the truth? Want to hear the truth? Want to hear the truth? But they never tell you what the truth is. That's what you considered. That's the disclosure that I'm talking about. You already know the truth. There's no doubt in anybody's mind on this planet that we are not single beings with nothing who die and we don't exist anymore. We know better than that. We know that we go on. We know we have abilities. We know that life is in the universe. We're at that point right now. Everybody's got that on their mind. Even people who are religious believe in a God. Okay. They know there's more outside of us and that we don't die. Okay. That's disclosure. You already know this. It's already in you to know it. You're already pre-programmed it. You've got a consciousness that's trying to operate this vehicle you're sitting in with the truth. That's disclosure. Get to know yourself. Get to know what that is. Open your mind and hear your own consciousness tell you the truth. That's disclosure.
That's a great way of looking at it. But unfortunately, the rest of the planet, they want hardcore proof.
Why do you care? Why do you care? It doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter what they say. It's you and me right now on this room.
Lied to by our government.
Yeah.
I find that by all governments, just not our government.
That's slave thinking. That's
right.
Thinking.
It's very deceptive. Yeah.
If I'm worried about what you think and what you say and whether I'm okay or not, you're not living your own life. You're not practicing what you are, an autonomous being with right to who you are and what you think and how you feel and what you know. And if somebody's constantly badgering you and pissing you off and giving you negativity and telling you, oh man, we'll tell you a little bit at the time, they're not your friend. They're not helping you. And you should eradicate that from your thinking immediately. Get off the slave train in your thinking. Nobody tells you how to live. Only you do. Right. But you are responsible. If you take that on, you're responsible for everything that you say, feel, hear, and do. I don't have to be responsible if you're telling me what to do. You are. Okay. That's stinking thinking. That's slave thinking. Stop it. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they do. The only power they have over you is life and death. And you know what? You're going to come back anyway.
Yeah.
Fear should not be included in this equation. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of what death really is. Death isn't death. It's just you moving on. You get freed. Okay? Every slave that's ever existed that had the whip will tell you that death is freedom from them.
Yeah.
You can obtain it now. You don't need that kind of employment of that thought. You just be free. My email's Dolly's free. Want to know why? I am. I don't believe anything they say or do. They are liars. I hear it. I know it. They're playing games with us. They use us. They use everything about us to get what they want. Instead of the lash, they give us money and bribe us with goody, and we're not really living our lives anyway.
Right.
So It doesn't matter what they say or do. They are not disclosure. You are. Every last one of you are disclosure.
That's a great point. It really is. And like I said, unfortunately,
Yeah, I
it's
want
in
you
the
to stop using that word because you're taking yourself back. Eradicate, that's a bad word to say about anything, unfortunately. No, no, no. That's a slave term. Stop it. It
yeah.
isn't unfortunate. It's fortunate that I learned that lesson. Go there. Okay. It's fortunate that I understand that you're an idiot and I'm not playing with you anymore.
Right, right.
Okay? Stop saying that to yourself. You're downing yourself when you do that. You're putting yourself in a space of non-understanding or non-learning. Don't do that. It's not unfortunate. It's very fortunate. Every lesson you learn is a fortunate lesson, whether it hurts or not. Or unfortunate, it shouldn't even be in our vocabulary.
No, it shouldn't, but there are things that, like what I was talking about, our government, that, like, unfortunately, they're not honest with us. And I don't think they have the capacity to be completely
I
honest with
wouldn't
us.
even say that, Carolyn. Listen, I want to tell you something. They know exactly what they're doing. It's not unfortunate. That's deliberate.
Yeah, it is
There's a
deliberate.
difference. Okay, let's do the terminology the right way. It is a deliberate act on their part to be idiots and to
Right,
treat us like, see, you know what? Okay, I'm not there for you to do that to me. I'm sorry. And if you're going to be a deliberate idiot, I don't want nothing to do with you or your ways or your plans or any of it. I didn't give you permission to do that. You need to understand that you either need to stop or we're going to walk away from you and give you dead silence.
right.
You want to get voted for? Do the right thing. You want us to help you? Help us? Do the right thing. It is not unfortunate that they act that way. It is a deliberate act on their part. And we need to start telling ourselves the truth about that. People who do things like that are deliberately doing it. Deliberately. I wouldn't allow that in my life. I don't. If you're going to deliberately be an idiot, see ya. Woo, bye. I don't have time for you today. I won't
Yeah.
have time for you until you figure it out. Period. If I want to care about you enough to let you know the truth, that's one way you do that. Stop using their terminology. Use truth. They're deliberately doing the wrong thing. They're deliberately withholding from humanity. They're
Yeah,
deliberately pushing you into emotional jail. They're deliberately holding life sustaining things for you. They're deliberately polluting your environment. They're deliberate.
yeah,
It's all deliberate,
yeah.
period. And we're going, okay, I'll take it. No, don't.
Do you think that there is an awakening happening, though? Because I
Oh,
see it. Yeah, I see it.
people are starting to realize what the real truth is. They're starting to wake up. They're starting to use their abilities. They're starting to move away from this. They're starting to stop using fluoride. They're starting to live more sustainable lives. They're starting to realize that their environment needs to be cleaned up right now. You know that little girl in Sweden? God bless her heart. Okay. And I'm a Southerner, and I mean that in the strictest term a Southerner would use that term. She is clueless, but she has a point. And this is it. Our environment is important to sustain our lives.
Are you
She's
talking about
very
Greta
Greta
Thunberg?
Thunberg, yes. Yeah. She understands that part of it. She knows that we need to be healthy and happy. But what she's doing is she's following the government telling her that it's this, not everything else. We have to understand that if we don't want to pollute, we stop buying things that pollute. If we
Right.
don't want to be toxic, we stop using things that are toxifying. If we don't see what I'm saying, it's up to us. It's a management detail. I'm not going to watch commercials anymore on TV because they tell me to do stupid things.
Oh, awful.
Okay, and I'm not doing that. You idiot. I'd rather learn how to cook, learn how to make things sustainably, learn how to take care of myself.
But you
I'm
know what?
doing,
It's kind of discouraging when you see, and I think discouraging is a proper word, because you see the government cloud seeding, you see them polluting our planet. Other countries are worse violators than the United States. And
okay.
it's difficult for people to get that message out there that, yes, we're responsible for a lot of what happens on the planet in terms of pollution, but
Yeah.
our governments are worse.
Okay.
They're
Well, okay. All right. Oh, I got it. I understand what you're saying. I want you to understand why you could look at this a different way.
okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
They have an agenda. There are 8.4 billion people on this planet right now. 10, 20 years ago, there were almost 10 billion. They've
Right.
depleted us down to 8.4. They have a long way to go. Only 1% of them are planning on living what's coming. This is where knowing the truth and what everything is going on is so serious. We're in a 12,000 year cycle. Our planet's about to burp. Our sun is going to burp on us and cause a downgrade of our ability to survive immensely. And it's going to take
Yeah.
the grid down. The people who think they're going to leave believe their own stupidity and think that they're going to survive it, that they can Faraday against it, and they're going underground for that. What they
Yeah.
don't realize is our magnetosphere is down 40%. If we have an X-class sphere up in the 800 range, it's more than 10. It'll go to the core of the earth, and anything electronic, alive, electricity will melt.
Yeah.
All of it. Catch fire, melt.
You're
The
talking
only
about
thing-
solar flares or just an implosion of the sun?
No, it's called a coronal mass ejection. There's solar flares, there are coronal holes, and then there's CMEs, coronal mass ejections. A coronal hole is energy that's coming straight out of the sun at us in a huge wave, like a giant wind that came out of nowhere. We have one coming in this weekend, by the way. This weekend's going to be bad. If you can Faraday your body, Faraday it, because we have some major energy coming. Okay.
Oh,
Then there are what they call solar storms.
right.
And it's not a CME, but it's energy that goes up and then back down, but it's still pushing waves of energy out at the same time. It's not ejecta, but it's massive enough that it's coming at us. If you understand how physics works and electricity works, our sun is in circuit with us. It sends us energy, Earth absorbs it, and it sends it back. And the whole surface of the earth is in play with this, because if it's hot, it's going to cause volcanoes and earthquakes and all kinds of stuff. If it's cold, it's going to do other things. Okay. We're in a 12,000 year cycle. About 1,000 years ago, our planet started to go through a electromagnetic field. It started affecting our sun and our entire solar system, all the planets in it. 100 years ago, it became critical mass, and we're in the heart of it. You start, like I said, everything's solid in the middle and there's boundaries, and it started flying into it 1,000 years ago. We're now almost at the center of this electromagnetic field current. The worst part of it. It made our sun change its poles, and every planet that we have are also changing our poles. The only one who isn't is Mars, because it has none. It's magnetically dead. Okay. What happens? The core of the earth heats up. Our poles melt. All that water goes back into the oceans, and it causes desalinization. We go from warm oceans to cold oceans. What's that going to do? We're now going from warm and too many hurricanes to ice. And it's a gradual process. It doesn't happen in one day. The last year, the Beaufort Gyre stopped. That's their clue that this process is now in failure. Okay, there's too much fresh water in the salt water, and now we're heading toward cold. And it's weirding out the weather completely. We've had massive snow and ice and weird stuff and massive heat, and it's all jumbled up while our poles are changing. That causes problems with it as well. It's like 6 or 7 different disasters happening at the same time. You've not been told the truth of it, because quite frankly, surviving this is going to be almost impossible to do.
When is that projected? What's the
You are in the time of it coming now, any minute. I mean, it could happen from me talking to you right now, and I don't see it going past 3 or 4 years down the road. We're in the process of having a coronal mass ejection come at us, and that is going to knock our grid down. Are you ready?
I've been hearing so much about that, about our grid getting knocked out.
True. That's true. And if you understand science, you know that it's true. All of the proof is there. You want to know why they stopped digging, go back to Teple? Because they got 18 iterations in that site that proves exactly what I'm telling you. And they don't want you to know the truth.
Yeah, Michelle was mentioning that they grew trees over it and tried to like completely bury it.
Yeah, so they don't want you to know the truth.
Yeah.
The pyramids, everything, every temple on this planet is a hard surface thing to point you in the right direction. The Nazca lines, everything, all of it alludes to that, is teaching that. We have, Revelations is, not 100% correct, but they got a lot of it right, but not religiously right, okay? This is natural progression of our solar system. We go through this stupid electromagnetic field current every 12,000 years. We also have another iteration coming at us at the same time. It's a 6,000 year water event. And that's because when the poles finish doing what they're doing, every 6,000 years, our sun micronovas. And what happens is our planet heated up to the point that all the poles melted, but now we're grinding the outside of our planet. It's coming loose. It's breaking free, the mantle. And when that sun hits us with that event, we're going to take on big chunks of everything, and it's going to hit this planet. But that energy is enough to flop us over. And that's the water event. When the Earth,
Noah's Ark, or is that a separate type of event?
say again?
Like the great flood with Noah's Ark.
That was a 6,000 year event. Yes. That's when the sun micronova. That's why there was all kinds of, what incoming and everything. I mean, we got holes in this planet that show the sun can blow off solid chunks of stuff, because every 6,000 years it collects so much garbage from space, dust, planetary stuff, all kinds of stuff. And it blows it off. We know this is true because now we have proof that other planets micronova, even micronova. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to micronova. It's coming. We're there. Are you going to survive that? ET's been trying for the last 150, 200 years to convince the idiots on this planet to let them help. No go. They're so convinced that they're going to do it themselves and that they're going to do it this way and that way. Control breeds stupidity, I'm telling you. They're in it, and ET can't help. They cannot. And now they're not here because now it's not safe for them because of what's going on magnetically. They can't be here. So they have to wait for all of this to happen, for our poles to change and everything to straighten out again before they come back. Do you think you're going to be here?
Well, if they're not here, then what are all these sightings? Are they not ET?
No. They back engineered ET craft to the point that they can make you think it's them and it's not.
Oh, good Lord.
And it's part of their plan to take you off the planet so that they'll survive. They think ET will pick them up. And I find that hysterical. I really do. I learned at a very young age that stinking thinking is that bad. If you're that stupid, do you think they want you in their group? Do you think you're evolved enough to play with them? You are not. Because you've just committed one of the worst crimes humanity anywhere in this universe can commit, and that's genocide.
Yeah.
It's pure hate. Hate is the same thing as evil. I don't like the word evil. Let's just go to what it really is. Hate. You don't do that and not pay the price.
I mean, were the Georgia Guidestones right then when they said the first commandment of, I call it the satanic commandments, was to reduce the Earth's population to 500 million? I mean, is this what they want? They just want to wipe us off the face of the planet? I mean,
Yes. Do you know who put the Georgia Guidestones up? Do you know the history of it?
I know the man who was anonymous. I think his name was Christian, and he
was a Mason.
A Mason, and it cost him like $30 million. Sorry, Oliver wants to.
All Masons $30 million. They planned for it. He was an architect and an engineer. And I know him. I grew up with him. He was my father.
What?
He was a 33rd degree Mason, and my father is the one who put up the Georgia Guidestones in Airborne.
No way.
I was raised with it.
Dolly, you didn't tell me this at 10 minutes before a 2-hour mark is
You're
coming.
the first person to hear it. You asked the question, you brought it up, and I've been waiting for somebody to do it, and you did it. You got the answer.
Good Lord. Sorry, Oliver. I have to put you down for that one. So we have 10 minutes.
I know you do.
Tell me as much
Let
as you
me,
can.
let me help you understand. My father's been a Mason his whole life. My father never went to college. He had an IQ of 208. Okay. He taught himself everything he knew. He was a registered architect in almost all the states. He was an engineer. He knew aeronautical engineering as well. He taught himself. He was that smart. He worked for NASA. He worked for the government. He worked for the shadow governments. He was very well ensconced in all of it. But at the same time, while he was trying to do what he could for humanity, he was also a master Mason. He became a Mason at the age of 22. He came up through it. He was a lodge father, lodge, the big guy with the gavel. He was a 32nd degree Mason. He was in the Salamala, the Shriners. My father was a monstrous active person trying to help humanity, and all Masons are. They've taken terrible raps from everybody. They're not bad. Masons are the offshoot of the Knights Templar.
Right.
All Masons come from that. All Masons are Knight Templar brought forward. As a matter of fact, the introduction to Masonry to their children is through de Molay. They call it de Molay after Jacques de Molay.
Mhm.
My father was approached while they were deciding what they were going to do, and they asked my father to design the stones and then go apply and put them up. They
What?
were they were cut in Elberton, Georgia. They're huge quarries there, and they were cut and put up from Elberton, not far. The quarry site is not far from where they were put. Okay. My father has left other examples of his ability. He did the Ranger Memorial in Fort Benning, what's not now Fort Benning, it's now Fort Moore. He did Arlington Cemetery, the Ranger Memorial there. And if you look at the stones and the way they are, he said, I can't do them exactly. I watched him do the models for it. He said, I can't do them exactly. It would give me away. He said, so I'm going to do something comparable. Okay. So he did. If you look at them and you go, oh, yeah, there it is. Shit. Okay.
So you saw the Georgia Guidestones being
Yes.
designed, and wow, I am mind
Ask
blown.
me how bad I cried when they blew them up.
Did you?
I cried my eyes out because humanity needs to understand that to be sustainable, we had to do things differently 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. We had to wake up. We had to become better. We have had 12,000 years in this particular iteration on this planet to do things the right way, and we haven't done it. Masons have been around. Knight Templars have been around all the way even before Egypt. Okay.
Oh,
And nobody listens. And evil hate is hate. Okay.
do you know who blew them up? Because they blew up, they got towed away right away the next day.
The government took them down immediately because
Right, immediately. And then it was like crickets.
shadow government, the military industrial complex.
Oh, they did it? Why now? Is it because there was so much jibber jabber on the internet about them?
No, why now? Because we're about to be destroyed by our own stupidity because we're not prepared for what's coming. That's why now. These were giving information. This was done in the 70s. You realize that, right?
Oh yeah.
My dad was still a young guy back then. Okay.
But
he grew his hair long to do it. He didn't want anybody to know he was an Airborne Ranger. So he grew his hair long so he could go get that stupid thing in Washington. I'm not kidding you. I mean, I was like, what are you doing? What the heck is going on? And he's like, I got something to do.
Why kill off humanity? I don't get that. Like what?
No, easy answer. No, don't ask yourself why. It's easy to understand. We are in an unsustainable position. We are in the food we eat is live today. Food can't survive forever without going bad. You know, you can freeze dry it now, but we've only had that ability for about 20, 30 years. Okay. Before that, there was just no freeze drying food. The Army tried to do it. They tried for years to make MREs that would last forever, and it's still decrepitated. Okay. Humans tend to get, crusty when they're hungry, and they'll kill you for food. They'll act like idiots. These guys have built bunkers. They don't want you in them because you're going to come, and we know where they are. Most of us know where they are. They don't want you coming to get in it. They already have decided that 1%, the elite, think that they're going down and they're going to be safe and that their families are all right. And the rest of them are fodder beneath their feet. That's hate. That's human hate right there. Worst kind there is.
So are you saying, I'm sorry, I'm just watching the time. We're going to have to talk about this some more at some point. Seriously. Okay. This is like an explosion in my head right now. I'm very confused about the depopulation part. I don't, are you saying it's because the planet is not able to sustain a
CME that knocks the grid out? Nobody's going to eat. Food isn't going to transport. Unless you've already got one heck of a garden and food already, prepped for, you're going to starve in a week.
Yeah, that's true.
Fact number one. Fact number two, no medicines. People who are on all kinds of all that, they're dead. They're gone. You might as well kiss them goodbye. Give them a good relief. Okay. Babies are going to be crying and getting sick. People are going to get injured and there won't be hospitals to help them. It's going to go truly into pure anarchy, and it's already almost there. They've changed the entire medical system. Do you think they did that for no reason? They bloody did it for a reason, because they know what's coming, and they've initiated a lot of it. COVID was drill number 50 for them. Okay. We have so much disease, gain of function, you name it. There are things
Oh,
that you don't even have. They've shut down supply chains. They've shut down farms. They've shut down
absolutely.
animal stuff, fishing. They've polluted the oceans. Y'all are in a bad position right now. And
Okay,
we're
so
seeing that.
last question before we go, real quick. Um, okay, so when they built the Georgia Guidestones and they put that first commandment in, are you saying that they knew all of this was going to happen?
Yeah,
And
I've known since I was 5 years old. They've known since the 30s and the 20s. I'm not kidding you. They've known really since the Carrington event, but it didn't dawn on them how real it was until around the 30s and the 40s. And then in the 60s, when they went to the moon and they proved that micronova did happen, because the moon's glassified. There are places all over the moon that got heavy duty glass, and it only happens during a micronova. They know for a fact it's real. Okay. Not a joke. The Carrington event, everybody started wiring in for telegraph and stuff. What happened to that? It burned it to the ground.
I heard the
And that
moon.
wasn't even a big one. We're 40% down now. Our magnetosphere was pretty much intact when that one hit. Can you
Yeah.
imagine what will happen to you now?
Oh my goodness, what time is it? Oh, it's after 7. All right, everybody. Dolly, I'll be in touch. I love you dearly.
Namaste, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Sorry we ran over a little bit, but talking to Dolly, like I could sit here another 2 hours, Dolly. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I greatly appreciate it. And again, real quick, you were and are listening to Ethereal Encounters with our guest, Dolly. Thank you so much. Love you dearly. We are live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. I'm trying to speak fast. 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you again for listening. Please subscribe and hit the like button. It means the world to us. Dolly, don't go anywhere. I got to talk to you. We have to set up another call. Thank you so much, Dolly. Love you. Love everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a blessed one and goodbye.